I've literally just come back to my flat after not being here for a couple of days, and I'm just going to show you what I've come back to. Don't know if you can see, that is dripping. This is just a puddle. The entire floor is ruined. Kitchen's ruined. Sofa is absolutely soaked. Absolutely soaked. You can see just an absolute puddle. It's still coming through the light. Turned up, fire brigade were here. Rug absolutely fucked. Fire brigade were here. And a burst pipe upstairs has come down my flat. It means I can't live here anymore. This is my bathroom. Absolutely fucked. So I don't know what I'm going to do. Send prayers. I literally had a big breakup at the back end of last year, and I had to move out of that property, moved into a shared house where I was kicked out after 24 hours with no real reasoning for it, and then moved into this place. I've only been here a few months and this has now happened, and I now can't live here anymore, and my sofa and my bed are fucked. So, wish me luck. I'm gonna have to now try and get everything out of here and store it somewhere for the next however long. Good morning. It is now Monday morning. It is 10:15, weirdly. This morning is going really fast. So obviously I've woken up, I've got myself ready. I was actually going to go to the gym this morning, but I'm actually going later on tonight with my boyfriend instead. And if I'd gone to the gym, I'd given myself till 11. So I was going to get up, go to a gym, get back, make sure I had like a good morning, because I knew the rest of the day was going to be then quite intense and had loads to do. But alas, here we are. What I am trying to do is we've got one of these new Aeras, and I was going to try and just put it together, but it does say that there's something that you have to screw, and I'm thinking, can I just put it together without the screw? What I'm going to do is I'm going to get out all the pieces, and then we can have a bit of a catch up. Yeah, I'm moving to the floor because that's going to be awkward up there. So I need, it's definitely K, isn't it? Yeah, well, gonna find out. I don't really know why they have to make these so complicated. Like, I thought they usually come really packed. Anyway, it's a new week. Last week was a bit of a weird one. Obviously, last Wednesday, I had gone back to my flat to find it completely flooded. Because their flat upstairs, compared to mine, had been empty for a really long time, and pipe burst, and then because the pipe burst upstairs and it completely flooded the upstairs, it then came down into my flat, and I wasn't there for a couple of days, so I don't know how long it had been flooding for. Obviously the first weekend of January was a really cold weekend. That's when we had like -5, I think, down south, and apparently because of the ice in the pipes or something burst. So anyway, it's been quite a stressful start to the new year. I started the new year with a lot of motivation. I'm trying to slowly get myself into things, but also be motivated and like take control of the year and start it off start it off like the most positively that I can, but it's quite weird, I think, experiencing something like that, because it was such a shock. I literally arrived and I'd gone to a doctor's appointment, which I didn't really need. I went to get a mole checked out that I've had checked before in the past, and obviously because I'm fair skinned, I'm just conscious of things like that. So I went to get it checked out, even though I knew nothing had changed. I'd had it checked before. I was like, do you know what? I'd watched a YouTube video of someone talking about moles, and I was like, look, I feel like it's a bad omen not to get it checked at this point. So, oh, what have I done? Have I done this wrong? It had got so cold from like the past few days that that's gonna have to do for now, isn't it? I think. Yeah, so I'd gone to get that checked, and then I went back to the flat. I was just going to go and pop in and get some stuff. I was going to go and stay there because I'm at my boyfriend's a lot, but he was like, no, why don't you come back to mine? I'd planned to see my friends on the weekend. They were going to come over and spend a weekend with me, and I was going to host. I was really looking forward to it, and then obviously then it just didn't happen, did it? But yeah, I'd gone to the doctor's, I'd gone back to my flat, parked up, and the fire brigade were there, and they looked like really stressed, and I was like, oh my god, is everything okay? Can I go in? And they were like, oh yeah, you're fine. The flat upstairs is flooded. Can you just check to see if anything's come through your flat? So open the door to find, yeah, the complete crazy flood. So I am now staying with my boyfriend even more than I was before. I'm storing some of my stuff until I need to move it, and then we're taking things as they come. But it was a really weird, well, not weird, it was a really good end to the year last year, but it was a really weird year last year. Lots of unexpected things happened, and then I guess it also now feels like this year has also been quite weird so far. But I feel like the last 3 Januaries I've had something. So here we are. So anyway, the plan today is I'm making this because I've got loads of washing to do, and I want to just get it all done, and this is a much bigger error. So I'm going to make this. I need to do my emails because I know I've got some emails sat waiting for me. Where's the end bits of these? Is that them? Oh no, that's the base. Got some emails, and then I am getting big, or I'm trying to get into my personal brand this year. Like, that is one of my goals, and I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos over the past week about content and brand building and whatever else online, and so I've got lots of ideas. I need to put it into a plan, so I'm going to make a plan, and then I'm going to do like a bit of a content schedule. And then this afternoon I want to do some filming, or if I don't do filming today, I'll do that tomorrow. But I've blocked out some time to do these things, and then I need to start working on my Etsy again. I think that's what I want to do anyway. Right, so that's for that. Okay, so yeah, basically building this, got stuff to do. I'm quite enjoying documenting things. I actually feel like now I've actually started more long form content, I actually think I really wish I did it sooner. Like, as in, I wish I'd done it sooner, because then I could look back, because obviously I've grown a lot, and over the past year especially, I've changed completely as a person. Like the person I went into 2025 as, even just like physically, is so different to me now. And obviously my life is completely different, but I really wish actually I could go back and watch videos and be like, oh my god, that's actually what was going on. Or even like the less good times, to look back on and be like, oh well, like it did get better. So yeah, I'm gonna finish making this. And I might check in a little bit later. Car that were left in there from the flood, so the other stock that I managed to salvage, and basically I've got a big box to ship it back to the warehouse in, so I need to do that. And then the other change of plan is that I'm now not going to the gym with my boyfriend later because he's got football. I am going to go this morning, so I'm going to box this stuff up, I'm going to eat something, probably do my emails, because then at least I know I've done that, then go to the gym. Because one thing I find is if I haven't done anything before I've gone to the gym, unless I've gone really early in the morning, I can then just feel like really useless, and obviously that's not ideal. So I'm going to make sure lots of this stuff at my car was actually fine. It was only the outside of the bags that got wet. The actual samples were all right. So yeah, doing that, gonna go gym, then I'm gonna prep this content stuff. I also need to email back the social media manager applicants, because we did some interviews last week. I was going to get back to everyone on Friday, but actually I found that I needed like a bit of time just to like reflect on it and think about what the best option was, because to be honest, we had two really good applicants, and over the weekend I was thinking about all different things. I was thinking, is there a way we have both and they both do different things? Is there a way that I can say to one that you manage the entire thing and the other one helps with content creation, or whether one of them we work with in terms of like UGC instead of like social media management, if that makes sense, so still getting that content. But I think after a good bit of reflection time, I think I know what the right choice to make is. So fingers crossed that all goes well and we're able to onboard well, hopefully this week. But in the meantime, I still need to work on the content stuff anyway. So that is my change of plans. So I'm going to box up this stuff. I need 2 boxes really. I'm going to have to go and find one somewhere else. Maybe when I go to the gym, I'll go into like an Asda's or something. You know, sometimes you can ask them for boxes. I've done it before when I've moved before. Go and get another big box and then get this stuff ready to ship and get it out of the way, because having boxes of stock and samples with me is always the bane of my life, because they're just everywhere. I've even got some stuff stored at my mum's at the moment. I've now got extra stuff stored in a storage container, but like a storage place, because of the flood. Some of it I took. I just need to sort it out. So that is my Monday morning.
days. We've had a bunch of
Oh, good afternoon. It is Monday afternoon. It is 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm just jumping in my car because I'm going to the gym. I know I keep saying it, but I literally have never been so motivated. Like, usually I'll go to the gym mid-morning, but what I did last week and what I'm going to do today is I'm going to work from the gym. So I'm going to go and do a leg day, and I'm doing a new style of program. So I usually just go to the gym and do whatever I feel like, but what's that fluff? But recently I have been a bit more conscious of what I'm doing, and for the first time in literally years I've got more of like a goal, which is to build my glutes, because I built them up years ago, like 2018 to 2020. Well, I'd say 2018, 2019 probably was like when I was fit. Like, I could lift heavy for my weight, and I could do probably one to 1.5 of my weight, I think, at the time, which for me I always felt like was really strong for me, because I'm not necessarily like a naturally strong person. I'm only 5'2", so like I'm not like tall either, and I feel like I've been seeing a lot recently about petites and weightlifting. Anyway, I was really fit back then, and I remember I could eat so much and it would just do nothing because it would all go to muscle, and I remember I just felt my best. So anyway, recently I've decided I'm doing that again. So I'm building my glutes. So we're doing 3 leg days a week at the moment, and I've decided I'm going to do like one compound movement at a time, or like one, not even compound, one like heavy movement session, and then the rest are like supportive exercises, let's say. So for example, yesterday I did hip thrusts, and I'll do heavy on those, and I'll usually do 4 sets. I'll do 1 warm-up set and then 3 working sets as heavy as I can with decent form. And then today I think I'm going to do deadlifts. I usually do sumo though, so a bit more glute focused, and then I'll do a squat day, probably Wednesday I'm in town, probably Thursday. And anyway, what I did the other day was I then went to the gym in the evening, and I went on the treadmill for like, I think it was about an hour-ish, and I just did an incline walk, and I just had my iPad with me and I just worked. So the longest ever intro ever, but basically I'm on my way to the gym. I'm going to do a leg day, probably going to do deadlifts, and then I am going to do a bit of walking on the treadmill for a bit. Then I'm going to go and sit myself in a Starbucks, which is right next door, which is convenient, and I'm going to grab a coffee and probably a protein shake, to be fair. As like boring as that sounds, I really do like the Huel protein shakes, like the meal replacement ones. And I feel like if I'm going to the gym and then I'm going to be buying food anyway, if I'm spending like £3 on a protein shake that's like a meal, I'd rather do that right now than get something from Starbucks. Probably spend more than £3, or definitely spend more than £3 on food in there, and it not be very like protein heavy / nutrient heavy, if that makes sense. So anyway, sounds really boring, but that's what I'm on my way to do. So I might film a little bit while I'm in there, I don't know. I don't mind filming myself working out, because genuinely I use it to like check my form out anyway. But I don't know if that's interesting or not, but I put it in my, I think in the last video I did, it might be this one, I can't really remember. I'm a little bit lost with editing at the moment. But yeah, anyway, I'll check in a bit later, but I thought I'd let you know what I'm getting up to. This is what part of my day actually looks like. I spent the morning working on my Etsy, and also working on some branding clients, and then also doing some emails for Dewey as well. So I'm kind of split between almost like 3 different businesses at the moment, if that makes sense. So I've got my branding clients that I help with their startup branding. Then I have Etsy, where I sell templates that I actually use and actually build for Dewey for the most part. Then we've obviously got Dewey, the clothing brand for petites. So yeah, this is a bit of a day in the life insight into what my split actually does look like. So anyway, I'm gonna get myself to the gym and warm up 'cause it's bloody cold, and I will check in a little bit later. Morning.
Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
How are you? You alright?
Not too bad. I do feel like January's flying by though. It's quite
Oh,
scary.
you've got this one already.
Isn't it? I looked at the date this morning. Hello. It is I think it's the 13th of January now, so we're a bit further into the month now, and I wanted to do a quick little update about how I'm feeling, what I've been up to, because I haven't actually vlogged that much because it's just been a bit of a whirlwind. I'm trying really hard to get back into like a bit of a routine, and actually I'm trying to get into a bit of a different routine actually. Bear with me, I'm gonna put a jumper on. Didn't think about putting that on before I started recording. So basically, I feel like I ended last year on a bit of a low note because I was so burnt out from the pop-up and just from the year in general. Like, a lot happened, and I'm going into 2026 feeling a hell of a lot better. But what it has meant is I'm trying to set up new processes and new ways of working, which is just taking me a bit of time to get used to. So outside of going into the first week of January with a flooded flat, I have then tried to try not to stress about that as much as possible. I've had a couple of breakdowns, a couple of cries and stressy moments, but for the most part trying to be as chill as possible about it because I just can't do anything about it right now. I am also just getting in my bag with like my personal branding stuff and like other revenue streams and different branding clients and stuff, because one of the things I realised over Christmas time, maybe just before Christmas, was that one of my strengths in the business world, let's say, one of my strengths in my career is my eye for aesthetics, I think is the only way I can put this. That there are some brands out there that I see, like startups and things, that I think, oh, if you just change like the aesthetic of like how you're posting. And by the way, this is not me saying Dewey's perfect, because it's not. We're going for our own rebrand internally anyway. But in general, if there are certain brands I look at and I think, oh, if you could just have some of the insight about what performs well, or your customer demographic, if you understood them a little bit better, or whatever it is that I could maybe help in some way. So I've been working on some exciting brand clients at the moment, which is lovely and is an honour to be able to work with startups, because I feel like if I could have had the insight 5 years ago that I have now, I would have saved a lot of iteration and change, and obviously that takes time and money, and printing things that don't get used later down the line because the branding's not right on them, and all of these things. I kind of wish I had someone that could have helped me then. So I've been working a lot on that. Also, over the past week, I've just been trying to get back into like a good routine. So I've been testing out time blocking, and one of the things I'm really not good at is knowing how much I can get done in a day. And sometimes that's because I get distracted. Someone will call me and will ask for something, and it will take me a long time to do it, or it just takes my attention off of what I was already working on, or I don't manage my time efficiently all of the time, and I sometimes can work for too long on one thing, and then I try and be a perfectionist with it when actually I could have spent less time, got it done, and worked on something else. So I've been trying that out. I've actually been quite liking it, to be fair. Although, like I said, I do need to learn what I can and can't do, because sometimes I'll set myself 10 tasks in the day, all of those being big tasks that are going to take a long amount of time. Obviously, I'm not going to get it done in a day. I don't know why I ever think I can do that, but here we go. Sometimes that's just not having the foresight. So I've been working on that. I've also been trying to work on the whole personal brand element of my business. So working on things like my social media, posting more often. I have been watching YouTube video after YouTube video about social media trends for the next year and becoming a content creator and what that looks like. And it's not necessarily about being an influencer. I don't really have much of a desire to do that, but what I do have a desire to do is share what I've learned with other people, and share some of the tools that I use and some of the tools that I make for my own business and things like that, and then share it with others and be able to generate some revenue from that. So for example, I started an Etsy brand last year, and because of all the turbulence of last year, I've only really just properly picked it back up again. But I was sharing like social media templates, for example, or agreement templates and pitch deck templates, things like that, because I make these things every single day for my own brand, and we often get complimented on it. And I think, why can't I monetize this? Because I use it, why would someone else not use it? So anyway, been working on that as well, trying to pick that back up and think about tools that are actually going to be useful for people and me. So like, for example, one of them is a digital planner, because I always have a physical planner. I can actually show you. I've got like one of these physical books. This is like it's somewhere in between A5 and A4. Yeah, A5 and A4. And I love it, by the way. I love that I can use my fancy pen that I won an award, fancy Mont Blanc pen, fountain pen. Love that I can use it with this. However, when I go into London, or just anywhere for that matter, I don't want to lug a big book with me. Like, I really don't. I got an iPad for a reason, because I also like using my iPad. And the other problem is, if I don't have that book with me and there's notes in it that I need, I don't have them. So anyway, one of the things I'm working on is a digital planner that I love, that's hyperlinked, that I can click on April down the side, it takes me to April, let's say, or whatever it is, that is easy to use, and that I can use a good notes, I can use on Canva if I want, I can use on like just a PDF editor, and then be able to share it with other people, because I know I'll find that useful, and then I can share it, if that makes sense. So that's what I've been working on. I've been busy working on this whole thing. Does mean that I feel like I've spent less time on Dewey this week than I normally would, but I feel like that's okay. I feel like at the time I'm in right now, I need to prioritize diversifying what I do to kind of protect my own career and to feel a bit more stable and settled, because otherwise all of my eggs are in one basket, and sometimes that can feel quite scary. I quite like the idea of having multiple baskets and eggs in all of them, if that makes sense. Come back to me in 6 months' time, we'll see how we go, but I do feel like this year's going to be really good. I feel genuinely really positive about it, so I'm excited about that. And I do want to start to share more videos like this, where I'm talking about like tools I use as well and things like that, because there's so many things that I've picked up over the past 5 years that I wouldn't have known before. And also story times. Like, I've had some crazy experiences, and people always say to me like, Christ, like as if you've gone through that as well. And I'm like, I know, like it's crazy. And because I'm like very optimistic and I'm very chill, I feel like I just look like I deal with things really well. but it's probably just because I've dealt with much worse in the past, and I don't like pity, and that's not what this is about, but I do like sharing stories. I like to chat, hence why I've started a long form content thing on YouTube. But I also feel like it's interesting, and I also feel like it's helpful. Like when I was going through certain things, I would look to other people that had been through it or through similar things and who would talk about their experiences. So if I can be that for other people, then amazing. I'm never going to complain about that. I have also ordered myself a mirror phone case because it's so hard. I've got this on my back camera on my iPhone right now. I don't want to buy any like equipment as such until I've made anything from this or it feels more established, because what's the point? I have ordered a mirror phone case because it's so hard to look in the lens of this camera, because it's on my back camera, so I haven't got a clue what I'm looking at right now. But yeah, otherwise, happy January. Hope your year has started off positively. Mine has been weird, as I feel like my life usually is quite weird, ups and downs. But I'm feeling optimistic still, I'm feeling good. I'm also going to use this clip as I'm going to wrap up. So if you have got to the end of this vlog, thank you very much for watching. Please comment down below if there's anything you'd like to see from my channel, because this is obviously very, very, very new. And I have loads of ideas of things that I'd like to share. Like I said, story times, information on tools I use, like some of the processes that I use, some of the strategies that we use, some of the branding clients that I'm working on, and like how I work with them outside of Dewey. That might be interesting, but just let me know. And otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.